if I actually do want to find a study
Mm-hmm.
and none of these other avenues have really led me to what I'm looking for, or I just want to find the real thing, where would I go? And we're going to do a little, like a little mini training here of how I would actually go about that.
Sure. So you don't want the coffee, you just want the coffee beans to roast
Right.
yourself. There are three places you can look for studies. The most common one and the easiest one, I guess, is Google Scholar. So to go to Google Scholar, we type in scholar.google.com. It works, the search engine works kind of similar to regular Google, right? So it's adaptive. Based on your interests, based on what you've searched for, you're going to get similar kind of recommendations, or even the order of articles kind of come. So
And
let's
underneath what we're looking at right now, underneath is just that stuff from your own history. So somebody coming to Google Scholar is not going, that's not your search results, for example. That's just
Yeah,
almost like an ad basically for stuff you've looked at in the past.
exactly.
Okay.
Or things that either I've looked at it in the past, or it could just be things that based on my search history, they think it's
Yes.
interesting. So if I was to search on a topic,
Mm-hmm.
so for concept mapping, right, I can just go concept mapping. You can see how many suggestions there are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I can fangirl about concept maps for just a teeny second, it's one of my favorite strategies ever because it does everything. It's time consuming. I'm not gonna bite it, I'm not gonna disregard that. It is time consuming, but it does everything. It helps you plan. You can use it as assessment. You can study it, like just study a concept map for learning, or you can construct your own concept maps. You can create them as worksheets. It's like there's almost nothing you can't do with concept maps.
I
But that's
totally agree with you. Yes. No, I'm with you on that. It's yeah, this is a good one.
okay. Now, when we type in concept map, see how there's like, is this 4,520,000
Yep.
results?
Yep.
Yep, and that's a lot. And you, even if you assume only 10% of it is even valid, you're still sitting at about 452,000 studies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a couple of ways that you can work through this is click on custom range, and I like to choose the last 10, 12 years of research just because, like I mentioned, research is continuously evolving,
Mm.
and seeing 10 years of work can kind of help you know that it's in the ballpark, or at least in the decade of what you're looking at. Um,
Right. And this is a point that we brought up yesterday that wouldn't be in today's video if I didn't say it, is that any study done in the last 10 years, if there's something really pivotal that happened before that, it's likely to be included in the literature review or in the citations or something of that newer study. They'll be
yes,
building on that.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And I would recommend just leaving that second box empty, because
Okay.
sometimes journals have advanced publications and they call it 2022, but you'll find it now
Okay.
because online comes faster than book. Why they publish
Okay.
books still, I don't know, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
So if I click search, just because of my time range, I've brought it down to 1,870,000. That's still quite a lot. Um, and it can be like, oh, I just want to explore what concept map is. And sure, you could start out with something like this and kind of go, oh, let me see what happens. Um, but a smarter way to do it, especially for teachers who are short on time, which I think is pretty much every teacher,
Yeah.
is to specify, so put concept map, actually, no, let's not put concept map in brackets, and then put uh, reading, for example. And then when you search for it, you're down to 513,000.
Okay.
That is
Totally manageable.
a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
You can also always just specify and say high school.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Okay.
actually, let's do middle school because I usually think, I don't know, this is my personal opinion, not my professional opinion, that strategies that work in undergrad likely might work in high school. That's just my thinking. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
sum difference between high school and college for
Yeah.
students. Okay, now look at that. When we break it down to, I don't actually know if the number changed, but
It
But
did. It went from 500,000 to a little over 100,000. So
183.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's like every time you add another label in here, it kind of chops down how many studies
Okay.
you have to look through. Then a couple of things, like I do have two studies we can look at. A couple of things just about using Google Scholar is they link out to PDFs if they're available on the internet. So let's say I wanted to read this one. The effect of learner constructed fill in the map concept map technique and summarizing strategy on Iranian pre-university students reading comprehension. I could just go click open and voila, I have
Hmm.
the paper.
That is my favorite thing about Google Scholar because I don't have a access to a university library. And so for those of us outside of those systems, we can't see any of these studies unless there's a PDF.
And sometimes even if you are within a university or you have access, databases can sometimes not give you some articles or some journals.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
always a handy thing. One other trick that I wanted to share about just Google Scholar is, let's say I read this one, right? We opened it up, we read it, and we're like, oh man, this is wonderful. I love it. What you can then do is click on cited by 27.
Hmm.
Click on that, and then it gives you the list of articles that cited the paper that you liked.
Hmm.
And this is a great way for two things. One, you can read more around the same topic or the same idea.
Hmm.
It can also sometimes show you papers that have critiqued your original paper.
Mm.
So you can
Okay.
read
So these are
both
not all
sides.
necessarily fans of the paper.
No.
Okay.
No. So I guess I don't have, I'm not old enough to do this, but if someone wanted to get super famous super quick, just publish a really controversial paper and then you get cited left, right, and center. Not
That's
yet. Not
funny.
ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah. What about this star? Is there a way of starring and then then it goes into your library of saved articles?
It does, yes.
Okay.
So if you just click, I don't usually do that, but if you click
Okay.
save and then you go to my library, it will pop up.
Okay.
So,
And
what?
this is all tied to your, oh gosh, it looks like you can tag and everything. So you can really get deep in terms of organizing. It's all tied to your Google account.
Yes.
Okay.
You can download, you can export the list too if you wanted to create like a reading list for yourself and read
Okay.
through it. One super nice thing about Google Scholar that I use a lot, mostly because of my work on meta analysis, is this create alert function. So we're back on that original search page where we did concept map and reading in middle school, and we had just looked at this paper and we'd looked through the cited by. Now when I come back to this main page, if I was to create an alert, it will show me, I can just enter my email in here and then press on create alert. What that does is it will send me an email with the link of the newly published study as soon as it's available.
Mm.
Most of the times it's pretty accurate. Most of the times it comes in at the exact same time you see authors kind of tweeting saying my paper got accepted, right? It's super cool.
Right. Huh.
Well, not accepted, but it's like now live. Whenever it's live, it comes through. So that's definitely a nice way to go about it if you're thinking of, oh, I really want to go through this topic in depth,
Okay.
or I want to stay abreast.
Okay.
Okay. So all of this shebang is Google Scholar. I have a lot of tricks on this one because I use this the most.
Mm-hmm.
Two other sources where you could always get uh, articles is ERIC. This is by the government, so it's
Mm-hmm.
eric.ed.gov,
Mm-hmm.
and you can put in any topic. And this is where, Jennifer, like you were saying, how do I know if it's a good quality or what?
Mm.
You can select only for peer reviewed. Again, peer reviewed isn't bulletproof, but it is better than not having it, right?
Right.
Um, I also like that it lets you just look at the ones that are available.
Okay.
And so for example, the Science of Reading Comprehension Instruction, there's a direct link. And does it open up? Does it open up? Is it behind a paywall?
We will
Okay.
see.
Oh no, this one actually you can download the PDF. But sometimes when you click through, if you hit a paywall, one thing you can do is email the authors.
Hmm.
Um, I usually mark everyone on the paper because you never know. Someone might have graduated or not using that account, or they've changed jobs or whatever. But if you email everybody, most of the times they'll reply.
You're emailing them to say, can I see a copy of the study? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just send them
Okay.
an email saying, "Hey, I'm an educator. I came across your paper, title this," or send them the link, whichever, and say, "Would you? I don't have access to it. Would you be willing to share?"
Yeah, definitely didn't know that trick. Okay. And that you get results sometimes from that?
I'd say 9 out of 10 times.
That's fantastic. Okay. Yeah. I every time I
That's
hit a
gonna be my
paywall, I just give up and that's it.
Oh no, no need.
Okay.
I think most researchers would be more than happy to send that through.
Cool.
Um,
Okay.
with Eric, the other nice thing about it is just it also breaks it down for you a little more based on your topic.
So you put in a search term and it gives you lots of other sort of variations and subcategories.
Yeah, so these are the tags that the authors have put in as well.
Okay. Okay,
So
cool.
you went into reading comprehension, you're like, oh no, what I really mean is reading
Mm-hmm.
skills. Then you
Okay,
can kind
good.
of just look at those papers.
Okay.
Um, and similar to that is the What Works Clearinghouse. And this is also where I'd mentioned that you get the reports, like the practice guides.
Yes.
You can also see reviews of individual studies, intervention reports, and find what you need.
Okay. The reviews of individual studies are I was going to ask you this yesterday and the question left my brain before I had a chance to ask you, but is there any kind of, I mean, if I want to buy a TV, I can go on the Best Buy website and look at customer reviews. Do they have anything like that for academic research where people can just rate it?
um, no, but that's a smart idea.
Be a way of crowdsourcing this stuff.
There is, though, like the What Works Clearinghouse tries to do extremely rigorous research, and I've
Uh-huh.
sometimes heard the joke, and I promise this isn't me, I've heard it from someone else. It was like it should be called a What Doesn't Work Clearinghouse. Just because the studies that qualify for the What Works Clearinghouse are extremely rigorous. So it's like
Interesting.
very tightly controlled across multiple settings, and you've got like lots of things going on, but you're focusing really on one. But it is a great space for you, especially if, let's say, you are applying for ESSA funds, right? And you want research to back it up. Now, the
Hmm.
resources here would be like a great way to search for it.
Got it.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's the three big places: Google Scholar, Eric, What Works Clearinghouse.